What is up, everybody? 360 in the house, and I am so excited to be starting our brand new podcast called FOMO Forum. This podcast is brought to you by 4C Media and 360Trader. Yep, that's me. And we are kicking it off with just a dude who I love, I respect, is an up and comer in the crypto game. Let's just go ahead and welcome the one and only Louie from Because Bitcoin. Louie, thank you for joining us. If you don't mind, take a few seconds, brother. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Just, you don't have to get too personal if you don't want to, but tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in crypto.
Of course. Thank you for that introduction. That means a lot coming from you. So a little bit about me. Got into fresh out of college a couple years ago. Well, it's not a couple years anymore. I'm getting old now, but coming out of college
Look it.
about 8 years ago, um, stumbled upon crypto, started buying the top of the 2017, 2018 bull run, as I should have. Was buying XRP at $2.80, thinking I was gonna make a quick million. And ever since then, just been absolutely like hooked, like knew investing was gonna be my way as to how I wanted to make money and make it my career. I just knew instantly. I just investing in general. Although as a young man, I pretty much skipped over the stock market
Yeah.
and just dove headfirst into crypto. So I've been pretty much for the last 8, 9 years, probably not a day that has gone by where I have not looked at or done something with crypto in the last 8 years. Um, During that time, I was fresh out of college. I was just ready to go work in my family business. Eventually, probably just take over and do that. Um, my parents never invested. They actually were against investing. They got burned on a couple investments. They're old school. They were
Well,
just,
they probably really hated crypto because,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They thought I was crazy. They still do,
yeah.
but now they're kind of getting it a little bit. I got my mom a Coinbase account finally. But they weren't big on investments. They were like, no, just stay away from that. Just, work. We built a business, we could do this. And although I worked in that business my whole life, as a young age, because
Yeah.
we had the family business starting at 13 years old, working behind the counter, so I started working early, came out of college, dove, headfirst into that family business. But at the same time, I would come home from that and I would put in a second shift.
Yeah.
And that would be learning as much as I can about crypto, YouTube,
Yep.
finding guys like 360Trader online, paying for these groups, buying textbooks, doing my own research. And over the last 8 years, cultivating
Yeah.
pretty much, I guess you can call it a strategy or whatever, taking bits and pieces from every, little thing I could find, and putting it together and, finding what works for me.
Yeah.
And, lucky enough, I did really well, I said that I started buying the top of the 2018 bull run. Obviously prices continued to fall, but that didn't really kind of scare me away.
Come on.
I stuck
Yes.
with it.
Come on.
Yeah,
That's what separates
stuck
you.
with it,
Yeah.
continued to
Good.
learn,
Yeah.
continued to, whatever money I was making, which wasn't a lot, I was just turning around and finding stuff to DCA, buy. That turned into me having a great, 2021, pretty much buying from 2018 throughout 2020. And, that turned out great. 2021 rolls around, 2022. I kind of got a little stuck. I knew a lot of fundamentals. I knew a lot about crypto. I didn't know too much about the TA side. I
Yeah.
didn't know too much about the charting side or, all that different stuff. And I was looking for answers as to like, I felt helpless in a way
Yep.
because I was
Yep.
dependent on watching people and telling me what the market's going to do. And when we got that turnaround in 2022, I promised myself that I would never be dependent on one person,
Brilliant.
any group of people to, tell me what the market's going to do. I was like, I'm going to figure this out myself. And that's when I really dove in deeper, the textbooks. I joined your group probably end of 2021, early 2022, something like that. Been in there for 3 or 4 years. And here we are now, a couple years later. I do this almost full time for
Yeah,
my
baby.
career now. Most of my thanks to you, Mr. 360 Trader. Almost at about 75 to 80% of what I know was just using your group, and just literally as a second job, studying it, going
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
and just having money in the
Yeah.
market. And here I am now. I'm doing
Yeah.
this for my career.
Brilliant.
Riding this second run here, for technically my second cycle, and loving every second of it. I love what I do now and having a grand old time. But a huge
Yeah.
thanks and shout
Brilliant.
out to you for real.
What,
You
what,
really, I consider you. I know it doesn't seem like it's you. We've talked back and forth,
yeah, we
but
do. We
I consider
swap,
you
we
one of my
swap
mentors
ideas.
for sure.
Yeah. 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 And dude, you've said so much in your intro, so much, there's so much meat in your intro. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get to it all, but one of the big ones is you started with you're very humble. So you started with your mistake, and many people made that mistake. Many, this is a very common thing, because most people have the hardest time figuring out what the top is and what it looks like. And we can go back now and each top has looked different. So there's that component. But it's interesting that the one thing I love is that did not stop you. So that eliminates more people than it creates. But that was not in your character. And I want to go back to your childhood, because even though your parents, because it reminds me a lot of mine, even though your parents were not pro the hardcore investing, the hardcore in definitely not crypto,
Yeah.
but it sounds like they were very good stewards of money and business. And so they had that mindset, and and you took some of that because you were with them during that time, and you brought a lot of that fortitude and constitution along with what you're interested in, even if they're not interested in it. And that's what's made you successful. And yeah, I'll take a little bit of credit, but I really can't take much credit for your success, because it really isn't about me. It's about the person and the individual. And you have that ability to to have your own independent thought. And that for me is so important, because it's great to have people lead and guide and people to look at and different things, but you have the initiative. You had the initiative to do the work, struggle, fight, battle, and look at you now. Like, you're literally posting on. You got your own company out there with Because Bitcoin that you're working with, and you have your own schematic, and you're doing your own charting, and it's all yours. And we even pass ideas back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just that's the type of community I envision, and you and I are creating that. I just feel like we are. So, dude, fantastic, man. You have a wonderful
Thanks.
story. I love that you never gave up. And you have the ability to see, and this is what most people don't. You have the ability to see that, through all of the rough edges of crypto, to see that this is in fact, not only a generational wealth making opportunity, but it's the future, and there's not a lot of us. There will be, because of what's happening
Yeah.
right now, which I can't wait. Like, I'm actually giddy inside. I don't know if you
Yeah.
are, but like,
Oh yeah.
now I
It's
walk
so
up to
exciting.
people and I'm like, just give it a couple months.
It's so
Just give it a couple
it's
months.
crazy to me. It's because you're 100% right. Like we have like how many people could say in the last 100 years that they have an opportunity, and this is how I look at it, and I know this is how you look at it as well, to get in your foot in the door at a brand new asset class being birthed. Like
Yes.
this is like a once in a
Yes.
couple 100 years opportunity. This
Which
isn't
is a
something that comes down.
disruptor. It's a disruptor.
Yeah.
Like, it is disruptor on a global scale. It's not like it's just a niche. Like, it's a global disruptor, and we're not even talking about the future anymore.
Yeah, it's
Like,
here.
we're
It's
talking about
here.
right
Like
now.
the big money's here. Institutions are here. The
Yeah.
writing's on the wall. Obviously we have the Bitcoin ETFs, ETH ETFs, dozens of altcoin ETFs down the pipeline. Another big one that just happened recently, Coinbase getting accepted into the S&P 500. Like, they can't ignore it anymore. They can't
Nope.
ignore us
That's
anymore.
right.
Like, we ain't going nowhere,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I'm giddy inside. That's why I'm in my garage right now. I skip down here, getting ready to, because it's not always about the day-to-day price action, right? Like,
Yeah.
price is always going to have its ups and downs. You're always going to have times where you're
Yes.
doing well.
Yes.
You're going to have times where you're doing, but the forest for the trees, right?
Yes.
Like, the big picture is like, this is an emerging asset class. It's an amazing opportunity. If you're going to get upset over the day to day, your month to month, like, you're not looking at this the right way.
Yes.
This is something that big money's coming. This is going to be a huge, huge part of the future. And like you said, there's not many people, there's not many professionals in this space.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. I was looking at this
Yeah.
space, looking at Twitter, which is kind of like the only place we have, but I love CT, even
Oh
with its
yeah. You gotta
flaws.
love it. You love it and hate it.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, but it's just like a bunch of anonymous people, like, doing their trading and stuff like that. I was like, there's really not many professionals in this space. So like, I
Yeah.
was like, I want to become a professional in this space. So when the big money and this
Yeah.
is becomes mainstream, I'll be sitting here, be like, I'm here, I'm
Yeah.
ready to help. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, and getting that foot in the door before the masses come, right? And like,
Yes.
that's happening as we speak.
And so, just speaking about Twitter and just speaking about how you and I have been able to use it correctly, let's go ahead and give the audience the key to success. And we just want to tell you guys right now the key to being successful on Twitter, because Twitter is the paramount, the highest, the most supreme social media platform for cryptocurrency. However, the problem is it's flooded with FOMO, and it's flooded with FUD. And so the best way to navigate Twitter, if I had to give you guys that are watching this advice on how to not get emotionally involved in one or the other, is stay away from accounts that are always one or the other. Stay away
Yeah.
from accounts that all they do is perpetuate fear. And there is a gazillion of them where it doesn't matter what happens, they're perpetuating apocalypse, fear, and they're doing it because it gets them likes. And we can say the same thing on the FOMO side, right, Louie?
Yep. It works both ways. It's like those extremes, right? It's always the extreme fear, the extreme greed, and in this game, you got to keep your head in between those
Yeah.
two. You got to keep a level head. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, right? Um, Anyone can draw lines on a chart,
Yeah.
right? It's not, it doesn't take a rocket science. Like,
That's right.
I'm not the smartest guy, right? I'm not. Anyone can draw lines on a chart, but it's about execution, being able to pull the trigger when you need
Yeah.
to, and remaining level headed and blocking out the noise. And Twitter, you can find a lot of great information on there, not as much as you used to. I will say that, like,
True.
last bull run, 2020, 2019, a lot more educational
Oh
stuff
yeah.
out there. Now it's more like, just like, buy my meme coin. This is why it's going to 10 billion, and that's why I try to, provide that as well.
Yeah.
Try to, I can't do too much
And
because
I get
I
it
do
because
we have guys that pay us, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And
do
I
kind of
get it
have to
because
lock some up.
quite honestly, traders got tired of getting flack for what they posted, like,
Oh man.
or getting blamed for um like, for example, having a partnership with a coin. Like, I know I used to get that all the time, especially with Telcoin. People would be like, 360 is a paid promoter. That has never been further from the truth. Like, I have zero pay from, but because I'm a chartist and because I like to post about something, the assumption is that if I'm posting it and I have
Right.
all these followers, that I'm a partner. I've got money coming in from that coin. And so a lot
Yeah.
of traders, and you're right, a lot of the traders now are afraid of being accused of, hey, you're
I don't
pumping and
blame them.
dumping, or yeah,
Yeah.
you have an affiliation. So
Because because I recently, I was like, maybe not even a year ago, I had less than 1,000 followers. And I'm not even that big. I think I had like almost 7,000. But oh man, the people in the comments, or we do YouTube live
yeah.
streams, like the amount of comments, like, again,
Oh
another,
yeah.
like, you got to be hard headed, and not like that stuff doesn't bother me. Honestly, it
Yeah.
fuels me.
Yeah.
The haters and stuff like that. But Yeah, the flack you get, it's either, it's one day you're the hero, the next day you're the
Right.
villain. And I see why a lot of the good guys, end up just saying, screw this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, especially when you're doing it for free, you
Yeah.
know? And you're,
No doubt. No doubt.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I see, it makes sense now for sure. I see that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so we would me and Louie just want to add on to this, when you're carousing through Twitter, it's not just paying attention to those that are simply all FOMO or all FUD. You want to stay away from them, but also stay away from the ones that never provide the data to back up what they're saying, never provide any substantial information or any independent thought. Be very careful with that. It's something that one of the reasons why I love Louis so much and what he does is because you're gonna get independent thought. And it doesn't mean we're right, guys. Like that's the thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean it, but I'm gonna be honest, but more often than not, we
Yeah.
we are
We
right.
have been. We have been. Not many
Yeah.
people have, and that's another thing that, I've noticed this cycle. So many like it's been really tough. This hasn't been easy. This is,
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about it. This has been way tougher than 2021 to navigate. Just due to these, massive long time based consolidations we've seen. And I've seen just
Yeah.
left and right people dropping like flies, like kind of sticking their flag on a
But
hill and just not and just wrecking
but but,
themselves.
but
I've seen
Louis,
good guys drop
what's
one by one all the way
crazy?
up.
What's crazy about that is even if you're a cycle person, we are not outside of cycle timelines. Like that's what's crazy.
Nope.
But the problem, Louis, is because Bitcoin ran so early in the cycle,
Yeah.
because it ran so early, the expectations were, I mean, even I was looking for it. You couldn't
Yeah.
not.
You
Like,
had to entertain it.
yes, you have to entertain that. Hey, here we go. This is earlier than, are we getting this earlier? So it wasn't like you couldn't entertain it. But the fact that they would fall off the bandwagon for me makes no sense. I'm just like, okay, you just wait for the normal timeline. And it's funny because
Right.
you're right. We have much longer consolidation than we've ever seen. Bitcoin with a 220-day consolidation pullback, which for me guaranteed we were going higher. Like
Yeah.
it just did. It prolifically guaranteed we're going higher. And then Louis, let's talk about the part of the cycle that hasn't occurred yet.
Yeah. So that's that transfer of money, or that flow from daddy Bitcoin into ETH and altcoins.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see that, especially with the move off the lows we've seen from ETH. I mean, ETH has been beaten and battered this cycle. There's no
Which I
question about it,
love.
man.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I love
I
like the
love
like
that.
2 or 3 months ago, the sentiment on ETH, man,
Oh
oh man.
yeah.
I was like that's when I run, like I'm like, it's like running, it's kind of like running into a burning building. You
Yeah.
kind of gotta be a little, got to kind of have a screw loose in this. Like I know you
Yep.
got a little screw loose, I got a little screw loose here, but like when people are saying, and it's so far-sighted, where ETH is dead, ETH's not coming back, ETH is a dead chain, that's when I'm like, okay, this is when
Yeah.
I come in and I'm buying, right?
Yep.
And 9 out of 10 times it works. Doesn't work all the time, but when the sentiment is that bad on something, and this it's so one-sided,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's where I like to do my business.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. And we've been watching Bitcoin. I know you guys do too. We've been watching Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum dominance charts. I mean, since we started this
Those
thing.
charts are crazy, man. Those charts are
Yeah. I
crazy.
mean, and so look, it's like, do I care if Bitcoin wants to continue to have dominance? I don't. As long as
Yeah.
it keeps dragging Ethereum and altcoins higher, look, the more it does that and the more it delays the inevitable, the higher we're going with Ethereum and altcoins. Like that's just the truth because that flip of the switch is coming. Do I care whether that happens this month or 3 months from now? No, I do
Yeah.
not. I don't.
I always say this. I was like, people always say, the rhetoric has been like, yeah, altcoin season's not happening, or whatever you want to call it, alt
Yeah,
season, or
yeah.
just
Yep.
asset class as a whole. And I always say this. I was like, do fear and greed still exist? If
Yep.
greed still exists, we're gonna get an alt season.
Yeah.
Markets are human emotion, and they're very cyclical.
Yeah.
And I think it's the human part that a lot of people forget. They get caught up in their indicators, this and
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. for sure.
Sure we have algorithms. Sure, there's, you have big money, whatever. At the end of the day, a market is just a combination of buyers and sellers,
Yeah.
right? And if you know anything about humans, they get extremely greedy when things are good, and they get extremely fearful when things are bad.
Yes.
So if Bitcoin's ready to go on its next leg, whether it's, from here, or maybe we get a pullback and, a couple weeks from now, whatever it is, and Bitcoin starts going on a massive run, and whoever's was buying the lows of Bitcoin, back in 2022, they start taking money off the table. You think they're just going to stuff it all in their pocket and walk away?
Yeah.
Probably not. What
Yeah.
they're going to do is turn around. Okay, I'm playing with house money. It's kind of like you're at the casino. I like to use this analogy all the time. You go up at the
Yeah.
casino, you're starting to win. Now you're going to start taking those riskier bets and
Yeah.
trying to compound that money. And that's kind of how I look at Bitcoin, that move of money from Bitcoin into ETH and altcoins. So if
Yeah.
greed still exists and human emotion still exists, we're likely going to continue to see the same cyclicality out of like the asset rotation.
Yeah, agreed. I do agree we are going to see that. Now, I do want to talk about something that many are wondering, and I have my own opinion on it as well, especially with the dynamics of the fundamentals that we have with Bitcoin, because I love talking about the 4-year cycles, but I don't want to be naive to changes and fluxes and the ability of crypto to evolve and become something else, which I do believe is around the corner. But with the dynamics and the fundamentals that we now have with Bitcoin, wherein we have not yet seen any true end of cycle distribution volume. We've only seen profit taking volume. And then with the onslaught now of nations, states, and my gosh, the fastest growing trend right now is corporations. We literally went from, dude, the end of 2025, 30 corporations accumulating Bitcoin to right now. The last report was 80, but I think right now we're near 90 because literally just yesterday and today, like I saw 4 new companies adding Bitcoin. So I want to ask you, Louie, in your view, with this new dynamic, okay, and the feeling that Bitcoin is now out of the hands of the average retailer, do you think that it is possible that Bitcoin is done with the 4-year boom and bust? Now, I'm not saying that it can't have a bear market. I'm not saying that. But do you think now with Bitcoin in the trajectory and with the stats that we're seeing, what is your view on Bitcoin and how it can proceed? Does it proceed along a 4-year cycle still, or does it become a saturated asset like stocks eventually? I still think we're getting the bull run, but
Yeah.
what happens after?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I always try to keep open mind for anything. I think that's extremely important. But you're totally right. We've seen a huge, and this is something we also have been tracking at BB. One of our amazing analysts, Jackus, he was just talking about this the other day, that the amount of Bitcoin holders, like the Bitcoin whales, quote unquote, who have like 100 plus Bitcoin, have been growing over the last 3 or 4 months, while the wallet sizes of, like, I think it was like 25 or 10 Bitcoin or less has been
Yeah.
shrinking. So we've seen a massive change of hands where retail's panic selling right into the palm of these big money institutional bids. It's crazy. I always say it's like taking candy from a baby, and people fall for it every time, and it sucks. And like, I'm constantly pounding the table, and I do a lot of like what I do is like I want to help people to see through the facade
Yeah.
of the fear.
Yeah.
I will say, like, with big money coming in, and I can see a transition away from the 4-year cycle. I think it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Sure, we'll have massive pullbacks. Sure, we'll have bear markets, but is it going to be to the extent where we get a 75, 80% correction, a 1.5 to 2 year reaccumulation,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
again a massive euphoric bull run? I don't think so. I think it's going to move to a more steady rise. Maybe that comes after this next parabolic leg, which I think both of us think is coming. Maybe we get a nice correction, but from there, I think we can start the transition away from that. And that's why I think it's always good to keep an open mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense to me,
Yeah.
right? And same thing with the crypto asset class as a whole.
Yes.
Sure, we'll get deep pullbacks, but are we going to go through an altcoin goes up, multiple X's and then returns 90, 95, 98% to the low and then has to go through a multi-year accumulation? Maybe the wrong tokens will, but the right tokens
Right.
will continue to have that perpetual bid when big
Yes.
money's coming to the
And
table and they're here.
let's delineate for them because you and I have the same view here. I want to delineate
Yeah.
for the crowd watching us our opinion as to which tokens this is going to apply to. It's the same dynamic as why we're seeing this retreat from a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it is based on the following premise: Wall Street saturation. Once an asset has complete and total Wall Street saturation, in my purview, they will begin to move like other market classes, like other asset classes, like stocks, legacies. And look, the very first hint of this dynamic shift for Bitcoin was actually not now. It was actually during the last bear market. Remember, Louie? For the first time ever, while Bitcoin is dropping from its ATH, the supply was dwindling. How in the world is this possible? There were no spot ETFs, only leverage. And so whales were using the leverage ETFs to manipulate price, drop price the whole time they are accumulating in massive. And you can see in the bear market, massive accumulation volume, unlike we've never seen. And it was all pre-spot ETF, all
Wait,
pre-Wall Street.
haven't you heard market manipulation doesn't exist?
Yeah, yeah. No, it doesn't. But we know
No,
Wall
that
Street's a
doesn't
dirty
exist.
turd. Wall Street is a dirty turd. Let's just call it
They're
like it is.
sharks, man. They're
Yes,
sharks.
yes,
They're not going to play clean, and they have the size to to do so.
yes.
Oh
And
man,
then on top of that, so we have that. Boom, Bitcoin spot ETFs. That's Wall Street saturation. And then look at the pullbacks and the corrections. They're not what they used to be, where they were real short, real quick, and then
yeah.
off you go again. They're complete basing new foundational market structures.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's
they just are.
like
They're
the market.
completely foundational.
It's
Look,
like the market makers have entered the room.
yes,
It's
yes.
like
The 110-day pullback that Bitcoin just came out of could not even penetrate the high of the 220-day pullback.
yeah, we front.
That was it. It hit the high and off it went. Like, and I told my people, I'm like, look, there's no way Bitcoin eats through this 220 days. There's no way. And sure enough, it just touched the top and off it went. This is a new paradigm, man. This is a new schematic. I mean, you can't not see it.
And that also it's a tricky question now because like with that coming, it's like when we do get this, if and when we get this parabolic run or this next leg on Bitcoin and then the transfer of money into altcoins, like what do you sell? How much do you sell? Like, that's kind of great. We're entering like a
What
whole
are you
new
telling your
kind of.
people? Like, what
What
are
am I
you
telling
telling your
people?
people? And because I can tell you
Well,
what I'm telling mine. What are you
yeah,
telling your people if we do get this, Wall Street saturation? Isn't there a chunk that you might want to put in a vault?
I've been saying that. I know that's something you say as well. But specific tokens, right?
Yeah.
Specific tokens. If you want to know which tokens, go look at what ETFs have been filed,
Come
right?
on.
And then
There you go, Louie.
pick your
Tell
poison,
them. Tell them.
Either
Yes.
meme coins and stuff that me and our guys playing a lot. We have a lot of DGens in our group, but I try to keep a happy medium of, well-rounded
Oh, yeah.
portfolios.
Oh, yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, but we also
No,
have
no,
our
no.
DGen stuff that we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we're not telling people to only go get
Yeah,
US based. But we are saying for your
that
long-term
stuff.
vault holds, the ones that will achieve, look, Wall Street saturations are the ones that are going to have spot ETFs. Look, period.
Yeah.
And we already know with the new political regime, Trump is pro-US. So we're talking US-based cryptocurrencies that are going to
Yes.
receive all of the goodness of this new political regime. So, but yeah, I'm with you. Like we still trade and play all the other
Yeah. So there's going to be stuff
Yeah.
where I'm going to be selling it all and not looking
Yes.
back. And
Yeah.
then there's other stuff. Well, I'll take profits. You got to pay yourself in this
Yep.
game
Yep.
for
Yep.
sure. You got to pay yourself. But there will be chunks of stuff where I'm just not touching
Yeah.
unless I really need to, right? And that's just
Yeah.
stuff you
Yeah.
lock it away, like you said, in a vault. Lock it away. Don't think about it. And it's in thinking about it that way. And I know you were around. I wasn't around yet. I was like maybe a little toddler walking around during the dot-com bubble, right? Your internet
I am
boom.
that old.
Yeah. It's like buying the right cryptos now, and sure, they might not all be winners, right? Some of those cryptos that you want to hold and put away might end up being Netscape, right? Or might end up being Internet Explorer
Yeah.
that
Yep.
did really well and they're not here anymore, right? But you could be buying and storing away something like Amazon,
Here we
right? Or
go.
something
Come
like
on.
Google.
Come on.
But that's
Yes.
how I look at it. It's the
Yes.
next, technological boom with crypto alongside AI
Yes.
as well.
That is where we are at right now, folks. It's not yes, based on what's happening, based on the Wall Street machine that is at the gates, based on the fantastic fundamentals that are occurring with the first one yesterday with the Genius Act, making it to the Senate floor for a full vote, making it past the first stage. I mean, these fundamentals are so dynamically involved. And then of course, Louis, we have literally Trump has delivered. So there's no reason to expect they don't deliver on their promise of having the rest of crypto's regulatory framework out by August. So do you not think that with the stablecoin framework and then the rest of crypto framework, do you not feel the intensity and the heat of the Wall Street machine that is literally at the gate waiting for these two fundamental factors to hit?
What I'm waiting for.
Come on.
I've been waiting patiently for 3, 4 years now.
And you hit the
You
nail
know?
on the head, brother. You hit the nail on the head. For me, this is the era, the age where you are now, instead of the 4-year hocus pocus on these particular cryptocurrencies, it's like buying Google, Nvidia, Amazon when they were $5 and $10 per.
Yeah.
That is where we're at. I truly believe that is where we're at.
Speaking of that, I don't have it, but we've, discovered a nice fractal, which, fractals are super speculative and stuff,
They're
but
fun.
exactly, it's fun. Comparing the drop ETH just had to Amazon,
Yes.
literally to the percentage the
Yep.
drop was.
Yep.
And then Amazon literally V recovered and never looked back, and look where it is today.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
for those of you that don't know
scary.
what Louis is talking about, Amazon actually got up to about 106, 108. And then it actually plummeted to $3 or $6. I can't
Something like
remember.
that.
It
Yeah.
was single digits, like no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody was like, yep, it's over, it's done. And then Amazon became the monster of monsters. This is what Louis is referring to. It's a
Yeah.
pivotal moment. And yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I just feel like we're there. I feel like common sense says at least have a portion of your portfolio in what I call a vault, where you're going into the ones that Wall Street's coming for because they're going to have spot ETFs. They're backed by the United States, and put some of that away, man, and go to sleep on it.
Yeah.
And Louis right. You do need to sell. Look, you do need to make money and sell. So we're not saying that to do that with all of your portfolio. But when you're at this stage of a disruptor, of a global disruptor, by the way, guys, 6%, only 6% of the world owns cryptocurrencies. That is the stage you're at. So even if you're watching me and Louis right now and you're brand new, as late as you are compared to Louis and I, you are still a pioneer. 6%. You literally, if you're joining crypto this year, you are literally in the 6% of people who are in the disruptor of this year and next year's massive financial change. And it's global and it's total. And Louis, should we talk about stablecoins and what happened last night? Like, I mean, holy crap, dude. How big is this?
I would think you know a lot more about it than I do. But I mean, it's the future. It's the future of dollars, right? It's the future
Yes, there
of
you go.
asset to asset, money to money.
Yeah.
I've never worked in the, traditional financial system. I know people that do. The systems that these multi-trillion dollar banks use is absolutely insane. They are so archaic. You could type one number wrong and you could mess your stuff up for days. You could send money and it takes 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
It's just in the world we live in of instant communication, instant technology, instant Wi-Fi, all this stuff. And the biggest money in the world, they're using these archaic systems. Like, stable coins are the future, right? Stable coins are the future for sure.
Yeah.
And people are going to be using crypto without even realizing it. And that's the kicker, right? Is people
That's
like, oh,
funny.
who's going to use crypto? Who's going to like? We're on the internet right now. I have no idea how internet works. I have
Yeah.
no idea. When
Yeah.
I go on, I click and I use it. Like, people are going to be on their phones sending money to somebody, and they're going to be operating on blockchain, and they're going to have no idea, or their
Bro.
bank app or whatever. They're going to have no idea.
Yes.
And that's the thing that people don't get is like,
Yeah.
oh, who's going to use crypto? Why would they ever use crypto? They're going to use it and they're not even going to realize they're using it, most likely.
Yeah. I tell everybody, I'm like, look, you can either do crypto now or you can get dragged into it kicking and screaming. And we were just joking about that, Louie, just yesterday, because JP Morgan Chase, announced,
Oh,
oh, by the way, we're going to be offering crypto. So I was laughing. I'm like, homie's going to be rolling up to their Chase bank, and the teller's going to be like, would you like that in Tether? And they're going to
yeah.
be like, what the hell
Huh?
is Tether? Like literally, this stuff is happening now, and most of the world is clueless.
Yeah. It's
Like when
insane.
they roll up to their bank and their bank's like, do you want any Bitcoin or Ethereum today? And they're going to be like, huh? What? Wait, what? What did you just say?
Yeah.
Do you want this in a stable coin? Do you want this in Tether? They're going to be like, huh? Like most people don't have a clue, bro.
Did you catch the along with that announcement, the backhanded like Bitcoin diss by Diamond? He was like, yeah, not a fan of Bitcoin though. And then later I see JP Morgan Chase going to be offering crypto services. So he had to throw that backhand in there. It's so funny. But
Yeah, that brings back the memory you remember from last cycle, right before the
oh, he's been saying
parabolic
it
run, where he
all the
was
way
like,
up.
Bitcoin is a bubble. And the whole time he's bashing it, his company is stockpiling the crap out of it. And this is the narrative that you and I are all about fighting. Like
Yeah.
that's all planned, bro. Like that
Oh,
literally is
yeah.
planned. Like Wall Street is dirty as a dirty turd. And without people like you and me to guide and be that shining light, man, I can see why people run away. I can see why people get confused. I can see why people are like, heck no, not now, not ever. Like I get it.
It's when you have like CNBC and billionaires and massive CEOs, saying these things, people want to trust them. But you
Yeah.
kind of have to watch what they're doing, not what they're
Yes.
saying. And that's where a lot of people get. You got to be able to read through the lines in this industry as well.
There it is.
It's yeah. And yeah, and exactly right. Like that's kind of why I really want to help people, right? Along with, making money, making this my career, being super successful. I want to help as many people as I can along the way. And just by, keeping them level-headed throughout the process and getting to that end goal, which is what we're talking about, a couple of years down the line, whatever it is, and looking back and now I'd be like, we're just laughing like, man, we were so early. We had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. It's the evolution of crypto is so fast now. It's hard for me to keep up. Like I swear, like every time I look for the new, like things are happening on a daily basis. And two of the biggest, like I'm always looking for trend shifts in dynamics. And we talked about briefly one of the big ones, and that is, oh my gosh, the number of corporations that is now accumulating Bitcoin is skyrocketing. But there's a second part to this, and that is that now companies are wanting to come together to duplicate what strategy is doing,
Oh yeah.
formerly MicroStrategy, and create, Bitcoin treasury companies. And you probably saw it. The big one being, I think it was SoftBank, Tether, and Cantor Fitzgerald teaming
Yeah.
up and then putting Jack Mallers as the CEO. And their goal is to be as bad as strategy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We're even seeing companies like GameStop,
Oh,
and they got tons of cash, right? They got like a couple $1 billion of
dude.
cash on the balance sheet from the last, the 2021 like meme stonks craze. And that's a stock I'm looking at. It's something we were buying GME at before the Bitcoin announcement, up nicely on that. But again, they're doing the same thing. Like there's only so long people, at first you're crazy, first they laugh at you and then they try to, talk bad
Uh,
about you. Then they get curious and then, they submit, right? That's not the exact saying, but you get the
yeah.
gist.
Oh, I do.
There was only so long where people were going to watch
Yeah.
Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy's kind of strategy of what they're doing. There's only so long they're going to watch him continue to win before it becomes a game theory where like we have to do this, right?
Yeah.
And we're
Remember
starting to see
everybody
that in
making
real
fun of
time.
El Salvador last year?
Oh yeah, no. He posted a screenshot the other day. It was
Yeah,
like he's
baby.
up like
Oh,
$400 million for his
Lord.
country. Like that guy's killing it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. First they laugh at us, and golly, we've endured so much scorn, and doesn't bother me like it doesn't,
Yeah.
but I can't help but feel giddy with these headlines and people. And what makes me even more giddy is people are and people are still clueless, like they still don't know, they have no idea. Like the political machine, even from top down, is
Yeah.
pro crypto. Hey, every regulatory agency, can you believe we went from the SEC
Oh man.
that we had from Gary Gensler and his machine gun campaign against crypto to the new head of the SEC who owns hundreds of thousands in crypto and is hammering the former SEC and how
Yeah.
bad they were. Like the switch is so prolific and dynamic, and it's from top down, man. How can anybody with the because we've never had these fundamentals, bro.
Yeah. No.
We've never had this blanket of fundamentals. How can anybody be bearish looking into 2025, the rest of 2025 and 2026? Like
Even the crypto native people are like super pessimistic now. I feel like it's like everyone's just beaten and battered, man. Like they put everybody through the ringer. Everyone's like, we want institutions, we want institutions.
yeah,
Institutions came and they took everyone to the cleaners, man.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and that's just how it is. But again, like that SEC stuff, like you and I know, like that was all by design as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Like they were
100%,
just
dude.
slowing it down. They had to pack their bags, right? They're not going to
Yes,
come out and say,
that's
we
right.
love crypto. We're bullish crypto. No,
Yes,
because like then price is going to skyrocket. They
you're
can't
right.
buy.
You're right.
They're going to tear it down, attack, attack, attack. And when everyone gives up on it, they're going to come in and scoop asset prices at the lows. That's how it
Yes,
works.
brother, you hit it. Attack crypto while you're building, because Wall Street wasn't crypto. They have to build all that out. So
Yeah.
how best to do that than to say crypto sucks, make everybody afraid of it?
Yeah.
This is how dirty Wall Street is, man. It's
They
so
don't play
dirty.
nice.
But but that fear worked.
Yeah.
I mean, that panic, that fear worked, man. They spread the fear gospel all the while creating the highways and byways for the Wall Street money machine, which, and now, what do we got? Like 70 plus spot altcoin ETFs on the SEC desk? What? I know it's got to
Yeah.
be around that number.
Wait until those start dropping.
Oh, Lord have mercy. And a lot of them are being like delayed, and I get it. And I have a feeling that they want the framework out. That's my opinion. I
Yeah.
have a feeling they want the framework. It's just like the stablecoin framework. That everybody's like, what is the stable? The reason why that's first has everything to do with backing the dollar. Like that's what it's all about. So that has to go first. It's also truly going to be the on and off ramp for everything we want for crypto.
Yeah.
Like we used to remember how chained we were to fiat, and then banks are like, nope,
Oh yeah. You
spend your
couldn't you
fiat.
couldn't transfer money to
There
a
you
crypto
go.
exchange. It
Yeah.
is it's tough. Yeah.
And
And
now,
now banks could or have the green light.
and you're not even gonna have to hold the dollar. Like
Yeah.
you're not even ever gonna have to hold the dollar. You can literally hold USDT, USDC, and golly, a number. Like I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, The day that the stablecoin, the Genius Act, is like signed into law, dude, within the month, we will see announcement after announcement after announcement of companies producing their own stablecoins. Banks have already talked. Bank of America's like, we're already making one. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And guess what? They're all going to be buying US treasuries, bro,
Yeah.
because that's how it's going to be written. Like, literally, everybody's like, all the apocalyptic people are like, the dollar's done. United States is, if we stayed like we were, yes, 100%. There's no way. There's no way we could sustain the economy we
Yeah.
have.
Nah.
That is why we're going through this surgical process.
Oh
That
yeah.
is why.
That's what I was trying when we were seeing stock market was, that was a pretty big move to the downside on the stock market. Everyone was like, oh
As with
man, like
COVID,
what?
as was COVID.
Oh yeah, as was COVID. Yeah, almost identical moves. And it's like, oh man, we should have just got Kamala for president. I was like, you guys thought that this market was going to keep going up and to the right, like
Right.
this, like we had to take our medicine, right? But they just streamlined it, and we saw like a massive reflexive pricing of the future of
Yeah.
what the changes we made, and you're seeing the correction we have now. I mean, if you look at the S&P, the weekly candles, oh my, like like the massive meat stick candles on the weekly for the S&P, it looks like it's ready to put in a parabolic move, like V
Yeah.
recovery. But yeah, it's so funny. People are like, "Oh yeah, we would have been fine." I was like, "You have no idea, bro. This would have happened, but would have been way worse." So this needed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because it's the panic drops. Those are never the ones I'm worried about. If you go back and like look at the history of the Dow and its drops, dude, those nasty nasties, they're over quick, fast, in a hurry. And they're
Yeah,
never the ones. The ones that last, their drops are slower. They're never that nasty one event panic induced like this one was
yeah,
terror. So we had COVID. Boom,
yeah.
everybody's like, it's over. Dude, that thing bounced so hard and so fast. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and
Oh
then
yeah,
went straight up to new all-time highs.
yeah,
The one we just had, tariff based. Boom. What happened? Again, bounced so hard. And guess what?
yeah.
We're gonna go to new all-time highs on all the markets. Dow, NASDAQ, S&P. Like, it's never
Yeah.
those dirty knee jerks that I'm scared of. It's the slower ones.
It's the
Because
multi-year downtrends. Yeah, those
come
are,
on.
yeah,
And
that's
then
what to
those
watch out
take
for.
4 years plus to even come back up from to
Right.
its old highs. So
Yeah.
there's just so many things that you and I have seen and are able to see by using price action and common sense and not narrative. Like, golly,
Yeah.
if people could just learn to stop making their investment decisions on narrative, my gosh.
It was like I've never seen so many people looking for headlines than I did last month. It was like everyone was trying to trade headlines. I'm like,
Yes.
just look at price action, right? It looks like we're putting at a bottom here, right? Like we're sitting at a massive support. We're putting at a bottom of some sort. Stop looking at the headlines. Start looking at price, and sack up and buy something, right? And that's the problem. People don't have that, they just can't pull the trigger. And by the
Yeah.
time they do, they're probably buying a local top.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. And that's that reactive trading, that reactive, and reactive is always based on a fear or a greed narrative. And that never helps anybody. If you are doing the opposite of that, you're going to make out. Like, just do the opposite of your emotions, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to be
Literally.
okay. Like, it's terrible that trading success is opposite the way you feel. Like, it just is,
No, it is. Like when it feels
yeah,
scary, like those are usually your best
yeah,
buys,
yeah,
in my experience. Not all the time, right? Sometimes you're a
yeah.
little
No,
early,
but
like,
you're right.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
It's just
Well,
how it is. It's like the opposite of the human psyche and just
oh yeah,
getting that over
yeah,
like under control within yourself. It's you versus you, right? You got
yes.
no one else to blame. And I think that's why so many people, they want to find someone to blame or be mad at because they don't want to take the
Oh,
responsibility themselves.
100%.
Like, I love trading because it's a pure reflection of me and my decisions.
Yes.
It's you versus you. Like I was a
Correct.
wrestler. It
Correct.
wrestling, it's you versus the other guy, right? There's no teammates to blame. It's you
Yes.
versus you. So
Yeah, and you're right. Most people don't make it because of psychological reasons. And then number two, most people don't realize that it's less about your system and more about your money management skills and your loss prevention skills,
Yep.
that literally rule whether you're going to be successful or not. I mean, you and I, we know people that have less than a 50% success rate and make money.
Oh
And
yeah.
people are like,
Yeah.
well, that math doesn't make sense. Well, it's because you don't understand money management math. If you understood money management math, you would realize you can be right on less than 50% of your trades and you can make money. But most people don't. That math doesn't equate. Like they don't get that concept. So yeah,
Most people just want to be right too.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a lot of
Dude,
people that
yes.
post as
It's not
well. It's
about
like
being right. Yes.
they're scared about being wrong. They want to be
Yes.
right. Like I'm so okay being wrong. Like I don't care,
You don't take it personally.
Always-
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And your winners, if you do this the right way, your winners will make up for your losers tenfold.
100%. Yeah.
So and that's,
Let's
something I learned from you. I've been through massive drawdown with you multiple
yeah,
times.
baby.
I
And we're
see the
still
numbers
here.
dwindling. Yeah, I see the numbers dwindling on the reactions, right? And I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still going. And then when we come back, you forget all about that, and the winners make up for it. So,
We're going to remind them though. I will never
yeah.
stop reminding them. I'm like, 'cause they will forget. They'll be in such FOMO once again. They'll have forgotten all the fear that they had over the last 2 years. Like they're going to
Oh,
forget. I'm
yeah.
going to remind them. Like I'm going to keep poking that bear and remind them so they never forget. But yeah, that's a incredibly valid point. So Louis, let's close with this. Let's give you an opportunity here to one. Is there any FUD out there that you want to destroy? A, and then B, what like niches do you love this to go around, or is there one altcoin that you want to talk about? Like, just give us a good send off here on either talking down against the negative that you've seen out there in crypto, and then give us some goods on something you like.
Um, FUD.
I know you're diverse, so it's tough. It's
This
tough to pick
this
one.
is something I posted about yesterday. And I saw you comment on it. Is the people that are talking about Bitcoin cycles are over? Sure, they could be over, right? As of now, Bitcoin's right on track, right?
Correct.
Bitcoin's right on track. If you
Correct.
actually measure Pico, cycle low to cycle peak for the last two crypto cycles we've seen,
Yeah.
they're almost identical, like
Yep.
around 1,070 days, 1,060 days. Right now, we're still on track, right?
Yep.
We still
Yep.
have about 5, 6 months left. That puts us right around September, October,
Yep.
November, around there. Does that mean we top there? I have no idea, right?
No,
Don't have
no,
a
for
crystal
sure. For
ball.
sure.
I definitely don't have that.
Yeah.
We could see a change in the shift in how these markets trade, but we are right on track as far as
Yeah.
timing is concerned. And the most bullish parts of a crypto or alt season are in the second half of that year, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we're not
Yep.
even there yet. We're not even there yet. So don't listen to people that are spewing that, the cycles are over. Are they slightly changing? Is maybe a little with altcoins? Sure. Probably a part of that was the fact that big money were trying to accumulate cheap prices. I
Yeah.
think the last year and a half of ETH price action was actually just a massive accumulation by
Yep.
institutions. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So sure, that shifted a little bit, but Bitcoin's right on track, and
Yep.
it all starts with Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
Bitcoin's the daddy of crypto until proven otherwise. And we're right on track. We're right on
Yep.
schedule.
Yeah. You hit the nail on
Um,
the head. And I love that post the most because Bitcoin started so early, people think we're behind.
yeah,
I'm like, dude, no, we're not. You just got excited early, like we all did, of course, absolutely,
yeah,
because the potential was there. I mean, hindsight is 2020. Let's come on, like, but we're literally still ahead. Like we're
yeah,
right where we need to be, 100% right where we need to be. But my gosh, this time with the fundamentals of a giant mountain, like the,
yeah,
the the number of fundamentals, like I couldn't even list them all here. We've talked about a lot of them already, but we've never had these fundamentals, guys, and that's the thing. Crypto has never needed them to have a crypto cycle, but now
yeah,
we're going to have one with all of these fundamentals, these dynamics, these politics, the Wall Street machine, these ETFs, all of these regulations for crying out loud. Like you put one and one together, dear God, man, what are we in for, brother?
Well, I want to ask you a question. With all that, what do you like? Do you think we're going to see something crazier than what we've seen? Or maybe, still on that, uh, diminishing
Yeah.
returns, right? Or are we going to see, something
Hmm.
way crazier than anyone could even imagine?
Yeah, before we got into this, and again, I like to stay conservative until I see the development of the cycle. But having seen these just godly 220-day consolidation, 120-day consolidation, these things for me, they're so uniquely different and intrinsic that my original target for this cycle for Bitcoin was 140, 150K.
Right.
Bull market, 225 max. But I want to see if Bitcoin continues to form these structures as it heads higher. Because listen, the only thing that we need, Louis, the only thing that we need to say, hey, this might be it for a while, is a much larger structure of distribution. So when we get these new formations, I will be looking for that. And if I don't see it, and all I see is profit-taking structures, followed by reaccumulation structures, Louis, then we could all be very wrong. This thing could
Yeah.
be headed to a quarter million to God, 500,000. I don't know. Like that is the
Right.
dynamic that we have to continue to watch and look at. Now,
Yeah.
I do believe that the normal crypto bull run, the big one, is coming, the thing we're all used to. I think all of that's coming, but this time probably more dynamic. And I do have viewpoints on total market cap, and it's a wide gap, so you'll have to forgive me. But 5 to 8 trillion is where I saw the total market cap going. I could be low. I could be low on that. But for me, and golly, we've already achieved 3 trillion on the back of Bitcoin.
Right. That's all Bitcoin.
On the
Yeah. It looks
back
like
of
it
Bitcoin.
looks like the Bitcoin chart.
Dude, that's what we got last cycle on all of crypto, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happens now when we flip the switch? We're
Yeah.
already at 3 trillion. What
Yeah.
happens now when Ethereum and altcoins take and we got walls? Like, I could be way under with my market cap from 5 to 8 trillion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
I got some fibs there. I got some fibs there. But again, like we could, I don't know, right? Like always be ready for things to be over, but at the same time, keeping an open mind and you want to ride the meat of the move, right? You want to ride
yes,
the meat of the move as much as you can. So
we're gonna get it, brother.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Louis. This was absolutely amazing. I'm honored that you said yes. Everybody that watched this, thank you guys for joining me and Louis with Because Bitcoin. Follow us on Twitter. We're easy to find and we like to banter back and forth all the time. And yeah, Louis, thanks a ton, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do. I bless everything that you do, everything that you're about. I love your personality. I love that you're a family guy, and I love that you like to look through the narrative and you got a good head on your shoulders. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. It means so much coming from you. It really does. And thank you for everything you do and everything you've taught me over the years. And hopefully we continue to work with each other here and there and then bouncing ideas and bringing this space forward.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, that's it for FOMO Forum for this session. Until next time, baby, here comes the boom.